Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So I'm going to continue with the Caitanya Caritamrta Anshalila, Chapter 2. Anshalila, Chapter 2. This book, Caitanya Caritamrta, is very special. Srila Prabhupada said when he was on the ship and sick, it was his only solace. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also said, towards the end of his life, reading Caitanya Caritamrta was his only solace. He even said that people of the world would learn Bengali just to read it. But by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we don't have to learn Bengali. Although many of us, if we live in Mayapur, we should, but Prabhupada kindly translated it, a great effort, took time off from translating Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the chastisement of Junior Haridas, another kind of heavy one. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sajajatam Sahagana Ragana Tanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisance on the lotus feet of my spiritual master and all the other preceptors on the path of devotional service. I offer my respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnavas and unto the 6 Goswamis, including Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisance to Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and his devotees, headed by Srivas. I offer my respectful obeisance to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and all the gopis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. From here I'll just read the English. In his incarnation as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Shri Krishna descended to deliver all the living beings in the 3 worlds, from Brahmaloka down to Pataloka. He caused their deliverance in 3 ways. The Lord delivered the fallen souls in some places by meeting them directly, in other places by empowering some pure devotee, and in other places by appearing before someone himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered almost all the fallen souls by directly meeting them. He delivered others by entering the bodies of great devotees such as Nakula Brahmachari. And he delivered still others by appearing before them, as in the case of Nishingananda Brahmachari. I shall deliver the fallen souls. This statement characterizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord always manifested his Avirbhava appearance in the following 4 places. 1, the house of Srimati Sachimata. 2, wherever Nityananda Prabhu danced in ecstasy. 3, the house of Srivas, where Kirtan was performed. And 4, the house of Raghava Pandit. Lord Chaitanya himself appeared in these 4 places. In this connection, one may consult text 34. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally present, anyone in the world who met him, even once, was fully satisfied and became spiritually advanced. Even every year, devotees from Bengal would go to Jagannath Puri to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and after the meeting, they would return to Bengal. Similarly, people who went to Jagannath Puri from various provinces in India were fully satisfied after seeing the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. People from all over the universe, including the 7 islands, the 9 khandas, the planets of the demigods, Gandharva Loka and Kinnara Loka, would go there in the form of human beings. Purport. For an explanation of Sapta Dweep, see Madhya Lila, chapter 20, verse 218, and Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 16 and 20. In the Siddhanta Shiromani, the 9 khandas are mentioned as follows. Within Bharat Varsha there are 9 khandas. They are known as Indra, Kaiseru, Tamraparna, Gabashi Mat, Kumarika, Naga, Somya, Varuna, and Gandharva. Having seen the Lord, they all became Vaishnavas. Thus, in ecstatic love of Godhead, they chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and danced. Thus, by direct meeting, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the 3 worlds. Some people, however, were entangled in material activities and could not go. To deliver people in all regions throughout the universe who could not meet him, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally entered the bodies of pure devotees. Thus he empowered living beings, his pure devotees, by manifesting in them so much of his own devotion that people in all other countries became devotees just by seeing them. And we have a very powerful example of Srila Prabhupada for that. Purport. As stated in Caitanya Caritamrta, Kali Kalera Dharma, Krishna Nama Sankirtana, Krishna Shakti Bina Nahe, Tara Pravartana. A very often mentioned verse. Unless one is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one cannot spread the holy names of the Hare Krishna mantra throughout the world. Persons who do so are empowered. Therefore, they are sometimes called Avesh avatars, or empowered incarnations, for they are endowed with the power of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the entire 3 worlds, not only by his personal presence, but also by empowering others. I shall briefly describe how he empowered a living being in Bengal. In Ambuya Mulaka, there was a person named Nakula Brahmachari, who was perfectly pure devotee, greatly advanced in devotional service. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Ambuya Muluka is a present Ambika, city in Vardhamana district of West Bengal. Formerly, during the Muslim reign, it was also known as Ambuya Muluk. In this verse, there was a neighborhood called Pyariganja, and this is where Nakula Brahmachari lived. Desiring to deliver all the people of Bengal, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the heart of Nakula Brahmachari. Nakula Brahmachari became exactly like a man haunted by a ghost. Thus he sometimes laughed, sometimes cried, sometimes danced, and sometimes chanted like a madman. He continuously exhibited bodily transformations of transcendental love. Thus he cried, trembled, became stunned, perspired, danced in love of Godhead, and even made sounds like those of a cloud. His body shone with the same luster as that of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he showed the same absorption in ecstatic love of Godhead. People came from all provinces of Bengal just to see these symptoms. He advised whoever met to chant the holy names of Lord Krishna. Thus, upon seeing him, people were overwhelmed with love of Godhead. When Shivananda Sain heard that Sri Mahaprabhu had entered the body of Nakula Brahmachari, he went there with doubts in his mind. Desiring to test the authenticity of Nakula, he stayed outside, thinking as follows. If Nakula Brahmachari personally calls me and knows my worshipful mantra, then I shall understand that he is inspired by the presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thinking in this way, he stayed some distance apart. In his inspired state, Nakula Brahmachari said, Shivananda Sain is staying some distance away. 2 or 4 of you go call him. Hearing these calls, these people became running here and there, calling everywhere. Shivananda, whoever is Shivananda, please come. Nakula Brahmachari is calling you. Hearing these calls, Shivananda Sain quickly went there, offered obeisances to Nakula Brahmachari, and sat down near him. Nakula Brahmachari said, I know you are doubtful. Now please hear this evidence with great attention. You were chanting the Gaur Gopal mantra, composed of 4 syllables. Now please give up all the doubts that you have resided within you. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains the Gaur Gopal mantra in the Amrita Pravaha Bhasya. Worshippers of Shri Gaurasundar accept the 4 syllables Gaura Anga as the Gaur mantra, but pure worshippers of Radha and Krishna accept the 4 syllables of Radha Krishna as the Gaur Gopal mantra. However, Vaishnavas consider Caitanya Mahaprabhu non-different from Radha Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Naha Anya. Therefore, one who chants the mantra Gauranga and one who chants the names of Radha and Krishna are on the same level. Next. Shivananda Sain thereupon developed full confidence in his mind that Nakula Brahmachari was filled with the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He then offered him respect and devotional service. In this way, one should understand the inconceivable potencies of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now please hear how his appearance, Avirbhava, takes place. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always appeared in 4 places: in the household temple of Mother Sachi, in the places where Nityananda danced, in the house of Srivas Pandit during congregational chanting, and in the house of Raghava Pandit. He appeared because of his attraction to the love of his devotees. That is his natural characteristic. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared before Nityananda, Nrsingananda Brahmachari, and ate his offerings. Please hear about this with attention. Shivananda Sain had a nephew named Srikanta Sain, who by the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was extremely fortunate. One day, Srikanta Sain came alone to Jagannath Puri in great eagerness to see the Lord. Seeing Srikanta Sain, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed causeless mercy on him. Srikanta Sain stayed near Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for about 2 months at Jagannath Puri. When he was about to return to Bengal, the Lord told him, forbid the devotees in Bengal to come to Jagannath Puri this year. This year, I will personally go to Bengal and meet all the devotees, headed by Advaita Acharya. Please tell Shivananda Sain that in the month of Posha, I shall certainly go to his home. Jagadananda is there, and he will give me offerings of food. Inform all of them that no one should come to Jagannath Puri. When Srikanta Sain returned to Bengal and delivered his message, the minds of the devotees were very pleased. Advaita Acharya was just about to go to Jagannath Puri with the other devotees, but upon hearing this message, he waited. Shivananda Sain and Jagadananda also stayed back, awaiting the arrival of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When the month of Posha arrived, Jagadananda and Shivananda collected all kinds of paraphernalia for the Lord's reception. Every day they would wait until evening for the Lord to come. After a month passed, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not come, Jagadananda and Shivananda became most unhappy. Suddenly Nrsingananda arrived, and Jagadananda and Shivananda arranged for him to sit near them. Seeing them both so unhappy, Nrsingananda inquired, "Why do I see that you are both despondent?" Then Shivananda Sain told him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu promised that he would come, but he has not arrived. Hearing this, he said, "Please be satisfied. I assure you I will bring him here in 3 days from now." Shivananda and Jagadananda knew of Nrsingananda Brahmachari's influence and love of Godhead. Therefore, they now felt assured that he would certainly bring Caitanya Mahaprabhu. His real name was Pradyumna Brahmachari. The name Nrsingananda had been given to him by Lord Chaitanya himself. After meditating for 2 days, Nrsingananda Brahmachari told Shivananda saying, "I've already brought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the village known as Panihati. Tomorrow at noon he will come to your home. Therefore, please bring all kinds of cooking ingredients. I shall personally cook and offer him food. In this way I shall bring him here very soon. Be assured that I am telling you the truth. Do not be doubtful. Bring all the ingredients very soon, for I want to begin cooking immediately. Please do what I say." Nrsingananda Brahmachari said to Shivananda, "Please bring whatever cooking ingredients I want." Thus Shivananda immediately brought whatever he asked for. Beginning early in the morning, Nrsingananda Brahmachari cooked many varieties of food, including vegetables, cakes, sweet rice, and other paraphernalia. After he finished cooking, he brought separate dishes for Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also separately offered dishes to Nrsingadev, his worshipable deity. Thus he divided all the food into 3 offerings. Then outside the temple he began to meditate upon the Lord. In his meditation he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quickly come, sit down and eat all 3 offerings, leaving behind no remnants. Pradyumna Brahmachari was overwhelmed in transcendental ecstasy upon seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything. Thus tears flowed from his eyes. Nevertheless, he expressed dismay, saying, "Alas, alas, my dear Lord, what are you doing? You're eating everyone's food. My dear Lord, you are one with Jagannath, therefore I have no objection to your eating his offering. But why are you eating the offering of Lord Nrsingadev? I think Nrsingadev could not eat anything today, therefore he's fasting. If the master fasts, how can the servant live?" Although Nrsinga Brahmachari felt jubilation within his heart to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything, for the sake of Nrsingadev, he externally expressed disappointment. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Therefore, there's no difference between him, Lord Jagannath, and Lord Nrsingadev. Pradyumna Brahmachari was deeply eager to understand this fact. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed it to him by a practical demonstration. After eating all the offerings, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started for Panihati. There, he was greatly satisfied to see the different varieties of vegetables prepared in the house of Raghava. Nrsingananda replied, "Just see the behavior of your Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He alone has eaten the offerings of all 3 deities. Because of this, both Jagannath and Nrsingadev remained fasting." When Shivananda heard this statement, he was unsure whether Nrsingananda Brahmachari was speaking in that way because of ecstatic love or because it was actually a fact. When Shivananda Sain was thus perplexed, Nrsingananda Brahmachari told him, "Bring more food, let me cook again for Lord Nrsingadev." Then Shivananda brought the ingredients with which to cook, and Pradyumna Brahmachari again cooked and offered the food to Nrsingadev. The next day, Shivananda went to Jagannath Puri with all the other devotees to see the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One day, in the presence of all the devotees, the Lord raised these topics concerning Nrsingananda Brahmachari and praised his transcendental qualities. The Lord said, "This year, in the month of Posha, when Nrsingananda gave me varieties of sweetmeats and vegetables to eat, they were so good, I felt that I'd never before eaten such preparations." Hearing this, all the devotees were struck with wonder, and Shivananda became confident that the incident was true. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to eat at the temple of Sachimata every day and also visit the house of Srivas Thakur when kirtan was performed. Similarly, he was always present when Nityananda Prabhu danced, and he regularly appeared in the house of Raghava. Lord Gaurasundar is greatly influenced by the love of his devotees. Therefore, wherever there is pure devotion to the Lord himself, subdued by such love, appears and his devotees see him. Influenced by the loving affairs of Shivananda Sain, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came again and again. Therefore, who can estimate the limits of his love? Thus I have described the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who hears these incidents can understand the transcendental opulence of the Lord. At Jagannath Puri, in the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, lived Bhagavan Acharya, who was certainly a gentleman, learned scholar, and great devotee. For a description of Bhagavan Acharya, one may refer to Adi Lila, chapter 10, verse 136. Next verse. He was fully absorbed in thoughts of fraternal relationships with God. He was an incarnation of the cowherd boy, and thus his dealings with Swarup Damodar Goswami were very friendly. He sought the shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet in full surrender. Sometimes he would invite the Lord to dine at his home. Bhagavan Acharya prepared varieties of rice and vegetable at home and brought the Lord there to eat. Purport: generally, those who were invited to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for dinner used to offer him the remnants of food that had first been offered to Lord Jagannath. Bhagavan Acharya, however, instead of giving him the remnants of Lord Jagannath's food, prepared dinner at his house. In Orissa, food offered to Lord Jagannath is called prasadi, and that which is not offered to Lord Jagannath is known as amani or gara bata, rice prepared at home. Bhagavan Acharya's father, whose name was Satananda Khan, was an expert statesman. Whereas Bhagavan Acharya was not at all interested in management of the state, he was almost in the renounced order of life. Bhagavan Acharya's brother, whose name was Gopal Bhattacharya, had studied Vedanta philosophy at Benares and had then returned to Bhagavan Acharya's home. Purport: during those days and also at present, Vedanta philosophy is understood through the commentary of Shankaracharya, which is known as Shariraka Bhasya. Thus it appears that Gopal Bhattacharya, the younger brother of Bhagavan Acharya, had studied Vedanta according to the way of Shariraka Bhasya, which expounds the Mayavadi philosophy and interprets personalism. Bhagavan Acharya took his brother to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the Lord, knowing that Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi philosopher, could not get much happiness from meeting him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives no happiness from meeting anyone who is not a pure devotee of Krishna. Thus, because Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi scholar, the Lord felt no jubilation in meeting him. Nevertheless, because Gopal Bhattacharya was related to Bhagavan Acharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feigned pleasure in seeing him. Bhagavan Acharya said to Swarup Damodar, Gopal, my younger brother, has returned to my home, having concluded his study of Vedanta philosophy. Bhagavan Acharya requested Swarup Damodar Goswami to hear from Gopal the commentary upon Vedanta. Swarup Damodar, however, somewhat angry because of love, spoke as follows. You have lost your intelligence in the association of Gopal, therefore you are eager to hear the Mayavadi philosophy. When a Vaishnava listens to Shariraka Bhasya, the Mayavadi commentary upon the Vedanta Sutra, he gives up his Krishna-conscious attitude that the Lord is the master and the living entity is his servant. Instead, he considers himself the Supreme Lord. Purport: the philosophers known as Kevala Advaita Vadis generally occupy themselves with hearing the Shariraka Bhasya, a commentary by Sankaracharya, advocating that one impersonally consider oneself to be the Supreme Lord. Such Mayavadi philosophical commentaries upon the Vedanta Sutra are simply imaginary, but there are other commentaries on the Vedanta Sutra. The commentary by Sri Ramanujacharya, known as Sri Bhashya, establishes the Vishishtadvaita Vad philosophy. Similar in the Brahma Sampradaya, Madhvacharya Purna Pragya Bhashya establishes Shuddha Dvaita Vad. In the Kumara Sampradaya, or the Nimbarka, Sri Nimbarka establishes the philosophy of Dvaita Dvaita Vad in his Parijata Saurabha Bhashya. And in the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, or Rudra Sampradaya, which comes from Lord Shiva, Vishnu Swami has written a commentary called Sarvagya Bhashya, which is called Shuddha Dvaita Vad. The Vaishnava should study the commentaries on Vedanta Sutra written by the four Sampradaya Acharyas, namely Ramanuja, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, and Nimbarka. For these commentaries are based on the philosophy that the Lord is the master and all other living entities are his eternal servants. One interested in studying Vedanta philosophy properly must study these commentaries, especially if he's a Vaishnava. These commentaries are always adored by Vaishnavas. The commentary by Srila Siddhanta Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, elaborately given in Adi Leela, Chapter 7, Text 10, Text 101. The Mayavadi commentary, Sharika Bhashya, is like poison for Vaishnava. It should not be touched at all. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur remarks that even a Mahabhagavat, or a highly elevated devotee, who here has surrendered himself on the lotus feet of Krishna, sometimes falls down from pure devotional service if he hears the Mayavadi philosophy of the Sharirak Bhashya. This commentary should therefore be shunned by all Vaishnavas. Next verse. The Mayavadi philosophy presents such a jugglery of words that even highly elevated devotees who have accepted Krishna as his life and soul changes his decision when he reads the Mayavadi commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. In spite of Swarup Damodar's protest, Bhagavan Acharya continued, "We are all fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna with our hearts and souls, therefore Shariraka Bhashya cannot change our minds." Swarup Damodar replied, "Nevertheless, when we hear the Mayavadi philosophy, we hear that Brahman is knowledge and that the universe of Maya is false, but we gain no spiritual understanding. The Mayavadi philosophy tries to establish that the living entity is only imaginary and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is under the influence of Maya. Hearing this kind of commentary breaks the heart and life of a devotee." Purport. Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami wanted to impress upon Bhagavan Acharya that even though someone firmly fixed in devotion might not be deviated by hearing the Mayavadi Bhashya, that Bhashya is nevertheless full of impersonal words and ideas such as Brahman, which represent knowledge, but which are impersonal. The Mayavadis say that the world created by Maya is false, and that actually there is no living entity, but only one spiritual effulgence. They further say that God is imaginary, that people think of God only because of ignorance, and that when the supreme absolute truth is befooled by the external energy Maya, he becomes a jiva, or living entity. Upon hearing all these nonsensical ideas from the non-devotees, a devotee is greatly afflicted, and as if his heart and soul were broken. Next verse. Thus Bhagavan Acharya, greatly shamed and fearful, remained silent. The next day he asked Gopal Bhattacharya to return to his own district. One day Bhagavan Acharya invited Caitanya Mahaprabhu to his house. He was preparing rice and various types of vegetables. A devotee named Chota Haridas used to sing for Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhagavan Acharya called him to his home and spoke as follows: "Please go to the sister of Siki Mahidi in my name, ask her for a manna of white rice and bring it here." Purport. In India, Shukla Chaula, white rice, is also called Atapa Chola, or rice that has not been boiled before being husked. Another kind of rice called Siddha Chola, brown rice, is boiled before being husked. Generally, first-class fine white rice is required for offering to the deity. Thus, Bhagavan Acharya asked Chota Haridas, or Junior Haridas, a singer in the assembly of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, to get some of this rice from the sister of Sikkimahidi. A mana is a standard measurement for harissa, for rice and other food. And just a note that what the Western people call brown rice is different. Next verse. Sikkimahiti's sister was named Madhavi Devi. She was an elder lady who always performed tapasya. She was very advanced in devotional service. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted her as having formerly been the associate of Srimati Radharani. In the entire world, 3.5 people were his intimate devotees. The 3 were Sarup Damodar, Ramananda Roy, and Sikkimahiti, and the half was Sikkimahiti's sister. After begging rice from her, Junior Haridas brought it to Bhagavan Acharya, who was very pleased to see its quality. In great affection, Bhagavan Acharya cooked varieties of vegetables and other paraphernalia preparations dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also obtained remnants of food from Lord Jagannath and digestive aids such as ground ginger and also lime with salt. At noon, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to eat the offerings of Bhagavan, he first appreciated the fine rice and therefore questioned him, "Where did you get such fine rice?" The Lord asked. Bhagavan Acharya replied, "I got it by begging from Madhavi Devi." When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked who had begged the rice and brought it back, Bhagavan mentioned the name of Junior Haridas. Praising its quality of the rice, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took to prasadam. After returning to his residence, he gave the following order to Govinda, his personal assistant. From this day forward, do not allow Chota Haridas to come here. When Junior Haridas heard that he'd been ordered not to approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very happy, and no one could understand why he had been ordered not to come. Haridas fasted continuously for 3 days. Then Sarup Damodar and other confidential devotees approached Lord Chaitanya to ask him, "What great offense has Junior Haridas committed? Why has he been forbidden to come to your door?" So he's been fasting for 3 days. The Lord replied, "I cannot tolerate seeing the face of a person who has accepted the renounced order of life, but still talks intimately with a woman." Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that saralata, or simplicity, is the first qualification of a Vaishnava, whereas duplicity or cunning behavior is a great offense against the principles of devotional service. As one advances in Krishna consciousness, one must gradually become disgusted with material attachment and thus become more and more attached to the service of the Lord. If one is not factually detached from material activities, but still proclaims himself to be advanced, he is cheating. No one will be happy to see such behavior. So strongly do the senses adhere to the objects of this, that indeed a woman's statue of a woman attracts the mind of even a great saintly person. The senses and the sense objects are so intimately connected that the mind of even a great saintly person is attracted to a wooden doll if it is attractively shaped like a young woman. The sense objects, namely form, sound, smell, sense, and touch, are always attractive for the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Since the senses and sense objects are naturally intimately related, sometimes even a person claiming control over his senses remains always subject to the control of sense objects. The senses are impossible to control unless purified and engaged in the service of the Lord. Thus, even though a saintly person vows to control his senses, they are sometimes perturbed by sense objects. Another verse from the Bhagavatam. Matra swashra duhitrova na vivikta sano bhavet. Balavan indriya gramo vidvamsam api karshati. One should not sit closely with one's mother, sister, or daughter. For senses are so strong that they may attract even a man of advanced knowledge. There are many persons with little in their possession who accept the renounced order of life like monkeys. They go here and there, engaging in sense gratification and speaking intimately with women. Purport. One should strictly follow the regulated principles, namely no illicit sex, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling. And in this way, one should make progress in spiritual life. If an unfit person sentimentally accepts vairagya and takes sannyas, but at the same time remains attached to women, he is a very dangerous position. His renunciation is called markakata vairagya, a renunciation like that of a monkey. The monkey lives in the forest, eats fruit, and does not even cover itself with a cloth. In this way, it resembles a saint, but the monkey always thinks of female monkeys and sometimes keeps dozens of them for sexual intercourse. This is called markata vairagya. Sometimes one is unfit, should not accept the renounced order of life. One who accepts the order of sannyas, but again becomes agitated by sensual disturbances and talks privately with women, is called dharma dwaji or dharma kalanka, which means that he brings condemnation upon the religious order. Therefore, one should be extremely careful in this connection. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains the word markata to mean restless. A restless person cannot be steady, therefore he simply wanders about, gratifying his senses. Just to get praise from others, to get cheap adoration from his followers, or people in general, such a person sometimes accepts the dress of a sannyasi or babaji in the renounced order, but he cannot give up desires for sense gratification, especially for the association of women. Such a person cannot make advancement in spiritual life. There are 8 different kinds of sensual enjoyment with women, including talking about them and thinking about them. Thus, for a sannyasi, a person in renounced order, talking intimately with women is a great offense. Srila Ramananda Roy and Srila Narottam Das Thakur actually achieved the most elevated stage of renounced life. But those who imitate them, accepting them as ordinary human beings, fall under the influence of the material energy, for that is a great misunderstanding. After saying this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered his room. Seeing him in such an angry mood, all the devotees fell silent. The next day, all the devotees together approached the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to submit an appeal on behalf of Haridas. Haridas has committed a small offense. Therefore, please be merciful. Now he has received sufficient lesson. In the future, he will not commit such an offense. Lord Chaitanya said, "My mind is not under my control. It does not like to see anyone in the renounced order who talks intimately with women. You should all tend to your respective engagements. Give up this useless talk. If you speak in this way again, I shall go away, and you will no longer see me." Hearing this, all the devotees covered their ears with their hands, got up, and went about their respective duties. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also left that place to perform his noon duties. No one can understand his pastimes. The next day, all the devotees went to Sri Paramananda Puri and requested him to pacify the Lord. Paramananda Puri thereupon went alone to the residence of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Caitanya Mahaprabhu, offering him obeisances, seated him by his side with great respect. The Lord inquired, "What is your order? For what purpose have you come here?" Paramananda Puri then submitted his prayer that the Lord had show favor to Junior Haridas. Hearing this, Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Lord, please hear me. It is better for you to stay here with all the Vaishnavas. Please give me permission to go to Alalanath. I shall remain there alone. Only Govinda will go with me." After saying this, the Lord called for Govinda. Offering obeisances to Paramananda Puri, he got up and began to leave. In great haste, Paramananda Puri went before him and with great humility persuaded him to sit down in his room. Paramananda Puri said, "My dear Lord Chaitanya, you are the independent personality of Godhead. You can do whatever you like. Who can say anything above you? All your activities are for the benefit of the people in general. We cannot understand them, for your intentions are deep and grave." After saying this, Paramananda Puri left for his own home. Then all the devotees went to see Junior Haridas. Swarup Damodar Goswami said, "Please hear us, Haridas, for we all wish you well. Please believe this. At present, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is persisting in his mood of anger because he is the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, he will surely be merciful, for at heart he is very kind. The Lord is persisting, and if you also persist, his persistence will increase. It is better for you to bathe and take prasadam. In due course, his anger will automatically subside." Having said this, Swarup Damodar Goswami induced Haridas to bathe and take prasadam. After thus reassuring him, he returned home. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the ocean of mercy. Who can understand him? When he chastises his dear devotee, he certainly does this to re-establish the principles of religion or duty. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says in this connection that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the ocean of mercy, chastised Junior Haridas, although Junior Haridas was his dear devotee, to establish that one in the devotional line engaged in pure devotional service should not be a hypocrite. For a person engaged in devotional service in the renounced order, having intimate relationships with a woman is certainly hypocrisy. This chastisement was given to Junior Haridas as an example to future sahajiyas who might adopt the dress of the renounced order to imitate Rupa Goswami and other bona fide sannyasis, but secretly have illicit connections with women. To teach such men, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised his dear devotee Haridas for a slight deviation from the regulated principles. Srimati Madhavi Devi was a highly elevated devotee. Therefore, approaching her to ask for some rice to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was certainly not very offensive. Nevertheless, just to preserve the regulated principles of the future, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enforced this hard and fast rule that no one in the renounced order should intimately mix with women. Had Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not chastised Haridas Thakur for this slight deviation, so-called devotees of the Lord would have exploited the example of Junior Haridas to continue their habit of illicit connection with women unrestrictedly. Indeed, they still preach that such behavior is allowed for a Vaishnava, but is strictly not allowed. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the teacher of the entire world. Therefore, he enforced this exemplary punishment to establish that illicit sexual connections are never allowed by Vaishnava philosophy. This was the purpose in chastising Junior Haridas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in fact the most magnanimous incarnation of the personality of Godhead, but he strictly prohibited illicit sex. After all the devotees saw this example, the mentality of fear grew among them, and they all stopped talking to the woman, even in dreams. Purport. In this connection with Sri Sambhavasan, talking with women. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that talking with women for the purpose of mingling with them for sense gratification, subtle or gross, is strictly prohibited. Chanakya Pandit, the great moral instructor, says Matir Vat Paradareshu. Thus, not only a person in the renounced order, but one engaged in devotional service, but everyone should avoid mingling with women. One should consider another's wife his mother. In this way, a complete year passed for Junior Haridas, but there was not a sign of Caitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy toward him. Thus, at the end of one night, Haridas, after offering Caitanya Mahaprabhu his respectful obeisances, departed for Prayag without saying anything to anyone. Junior Haridas had conclusively decided to attain shelter at the lotus feet of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus he entered deep into the water of the Triveni, the confluence of the Ganges and Jamuna at Prayag, and this way gave up his life. Immediately upon committing suicide in this way, he went in his spiritual body to Caitanya Mahaprabhu and received the mercy of the Lord. However, he remained invisible. In his spiritual body, resembling that of a Gandharva, Junior Haridas, although invisible, would sing at night for Caitanya Mahaprabhu to hear. No one but the Lord, however, knew this. One day, Caitanya Mahaprabhu inquired, "Where is Junior Haridas? Now you may bring him here." The devotees all replied, "One night at the end of a full year, he gave up and went away. No one knows where he is gone." While hearing the devotees lament, Caitanya Mahaprabhu was mildly smiling. Thus all the devotees were very much astonished. One day, Jagadananda, Sarup, Govinda, Kashishwar, Sankara, Damodar, and Mukunda all went to bathe in the sea. They could hear Haridas singing from a distant place, as if calling them in his original voice. No one could see him, but they could hear him singing in a sweet voice. Therefore, all the devotees headed by Govinda made this guess. Haridas must have committed suicide by drinking poison, and because of this he has now become a Brahman ghost. We cannot see his material form, still we hear him sweet singing. Therefore he must have become a ghost. Srup Damodar protested, "This is a false ghost, false guess." Junior Haridas chanted Hare Krishna mantra throughout his life and served the Supreme Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Moreover, he is dear to the Lord and has died in a holy place. Haridas cannot have been degraded. He must have attained liberation. This is the pastime of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. You will all understand it later. A devotee returned to Navadvip from Prayag and told everyone the details of his suicide. He explained how Junior Haridas had made his resolution and had thus entered the waters at the confluence of the Jamuna and Ganges. Hearing these details, Srivas and others were very surprised. At the end of the year, Shivananda Sain came to Jagannath Puri as usual, accompanied by other devotees, and thus in great happiness met Caitanya Mahaprabhu. When Srivas inquired, "Where is Junior Haridas?" the Lord said, "A person who is sure to achieve the results of his fruitive activities." Thus Srivas related the details of Haridas' decision and his entering the waters of the confluence of the Ganges and Jamuna. When Caitanya Mahaprabhu heard these details, he smiled in a pleased mood and said, "If with sensual intentions one looks at a woman, that is the only process of atonement." Thus all the devotees, headed by Sarup Damodar Goswami, concluded that because Haridas had committed suicide at the confluence of the Ganges and Jamuna, he must have ultimately attained shelter at the lotus feet of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur remarks that after one adopts a renounced order and accepts the dress of a sannyasi or Babaji, if he entertains the idea of sense gratification, especially in relationship with a woman or other, the only atonement is to commit suicide at the confluence of the Ganges and Jamuna. Only by such atonement can his sinful life be purified. If such a person is thus punished, it is possible for him to attain the shelter of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Without such punishment, it is difficult to regain. In this way, Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi, performs his pastimes, which greatly satisfy the ears and minds of pure devotees who hear about them. This incident manifests the mercy of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, his teaching that a sannyasi should remain in the renounced order, and the deep attachment to him felt by his faithful devotees. It also demonstrates the glories of the holy places and shows how the Lord accepts his faithful devotee. Thus the Lord fulfilled 5 or 7 purposes by performing one pastime. The pastimes of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu are like nectar, and they are deep like the ocean. People in general cannot understand them, but sober devotee can. Please hear the pastimes of Caitanya Mahaprabhu with faith and confidence. Do not argue, for arguments will produce a contrary result. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Caitanya Caritamrta following in their footsteps. Instructions from this chapter. Summarizing this chapter, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that one should derive from it the following lessons. 1. Although Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the incarnation of mercy, he nevertheless gave up the company of one of his personal associates, namely Junior Haridas, for if he had not done so, pseudo-devotees would have taken advantage of Junior Haridas's fault by using as an excuse to live as devotees and at the same time have illicit sexual connections. Such activities would have demoralized the cult of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and as a result, devotees would surely have gone to hellish life in the name of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. 2. By chastising Junior Haridas, the Lord set the standard for acharyas, or the heads of institutions propagating the Chaitanya cult. For all actual devotees, Caitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to maintain the highest standard. 3. Caitanya Mahaprabhu instructed that a pure devotee should be simple and free from sinful activities, and thus one can be his bona fide servant. Caitanya Mahaprabhu taught his followers how to observe the renounced order strictly. 4. Caitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to prove that his devotees are exalted and that their character is ideal. He kindly accepts his faithful devotees and teaches them how such tribulation and disturbance can be produced by even a slight deviation from the strict principle of devotional life. 5. By chastising Junior Haridas, Caitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his mercy toward him, thus showing how elevated was Junior Haridas' devotion for him. Because of this transcendental relationship, the Lord corrected even a slight offense by his pure devotee. Therefore, one who wants to be the pure devotee of Caitanya Mahaprabhu should give up all material sense gratification. Otherwise, the lotus feet of Caitanya Mahaprabhu are very difficult to obtain. 6. If one dies in such a celebrated holy place as Prayag, Mathura, or Vrindavan, one can be relieved of the reactions of sinful life and attain the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although a pure or faithful devotee may fall down, he nevertheless ultimately gets the chance to go back home, back to Godhead, by the mercy of the Lord. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of Caitanya Caritamrta, Anchalila, 2nd chapter, describing the chastisement of Junior Haridas. Another very heavy one. I don't know if you comment. We had our Vishnu John Swami apparently do the same thing, but he had asked Prabhupada on a walk, and nobody knows exactly why, but about this story and should a sannyasi, and Prabhupada, and then Vishnu John was disturbed and he backed and he didn't hear Prabhupada's comment was, Lord Chaitanya could do that, but I can't do that. He said, he's not, I can't be so strict. And we're living in a whole nother age, but we have to be very careful. That is the point. Very, very careful.